Well, it's the Unknown Mechanic. Welcome to the channel. The channel is for the shop owner who doesn't have technicians that are up to par and are constantly fumbling and bumbling and asking their boss stupid questions every 5 minutes. And it's also for the aspiring mechanic who, doesn't want to bother their boss with stupid questions every 5 minutes. And also the homeowner do-it-yourselfer who, may want to tackle this job on your own, or just, have a general interest in, home repair, handyman work, and vintage chainsaws. And today we do have a special episode. This saw is what we're going to be working on, and it is very special. It belongs to Skil Scrotum Scrunch, and it says replace fuel line, leaks fuel, replace air filter, adjust and test run, call if over $100. And what's special about this saw is it's a Skil 1636 Type 1 Deluxe, and it is actually made for Skil by Poland. This is a Poland Super 25 Counter Vibe, and it has never run. It is absolutely pristine, brand new. There's no heat, on the muffler deflector. The chain has never touched a piece of wood. There's no oil. He was never able to get this saw started. It sat brand new and unused like a time capsule since the 1980s. And back in the day, the Poland Super 25, which is a revision of the original 25D. And the first version, the 25D, I believe, was 2.1 cubic inches, and it did not have an automatic oiler. So, when they updated it to the S25DA, the S stood for super, and the displacement was boosted to 2.3 cubic inches, and they added an automatic oiler in addition to the primary manual oiler. And the Super 25DA at the time was the premier top-handled arborist bucket saw, climbing saw. And the Skil 020 AV was just coming into popularity and was being updated to the 020 AV SEQ, which also was a boost in displacement. The original 020 AV was 2 cubic inches, and when they bumped it to the Super, it went to 2.1 cubes, 35 cc's, and electronic ignition. This one's got electronic ignition too, but some of the earlier ones were points. The 25D was a point ignition. And Skil slowly dethroned the Super 25DA as the preferred top-handled arborist saw. These saws had a lot of power, and they were well balanced, but they were a little heavy, and they were very, very loud, and they had a tendency to over oil. Oil would go everywhere. And in the non-counter vibe version, they were a bone shaker. And Skil never had a solid mount 020, and the the 020 was always AV, and when they bumped it to the Super and put the electronic ignition on it and then put the chain brake on it, and they had a gear drive oiler, and it was not as loud, and it just took over. And but back in the day, we used to work on hundreds of these, and we would get the parts and the units from a company called the Impossible Equipment Company. And then Skil took over, and then we ended up working on probably thousands of 020 AVSEQs. And one of these days I'll do an episode on one of those. There's still a few of those around. But this one has never run. It's brand new. And the fuel line obviously has just rotted from old age. Never had any fuel in it. So I'm going to take the bar and chain off to make it a little easier to work on. Maybe I'll bring the camera in and you can get a good close look at it. And yeah, as you can see, even the decals are in perfect condition. See the bar plates, brand new. Even the graphics on the bar. Skil saw 16, sprocket nosed, low kickback, reducing controlled tip. See the paint on the bar rails? This thing has never run. It's got an Oregon 91 VG chain. That chain is obsolete now. It's been replaced by a 91 PXL. And we're gonna drain the fuel out of it. And we got a brand new fuel filter just fell out of it with a piece of rotten tubing. Now to service this, I had to go to the archives and get the book. We've got two Poland books here. And this is the newer one, and this was after Poland sold out. They sold out to a company called White Consolidated Industries, and they kind of had a combination of different products during that era. There was Weed Eater, Poland Pro, and Yard Pro. And so in this book, we have to go to, so there's the S25 IPL. This one is dated January 31st of 90. and it's got a lot of handwritten notes in it. Part numbers changed in service notes. A lot of handwritten notes in there. A lot of things highlighted, because we used to sell a lot of parts for these. Unfortunately, this illustrated parts list does not have the counter vibe. Actually, no, there's no anti-vibration. There's one AV mount here, but that is not applicable to this model. The actual earlier book that I have, before Poland sold out, okay, this parts list is dated September 1st, 1986, and it does have the counter vibe parts in it. So right here, there's the anti-vibration mounts, and there's two different types on the back. And what I like about this book here is that behind each illustrated parts list there is a service manual, and we are going to be referring to this manual for a fuel line replacement. And one mistake that a lot of mechanics make, and probably a lot of do-it-yourselfers also, is they just default to using whatever the popular fuel tubing is at the time. They'll just use whatever hose they can come up with. And a lot of people like to use Tygon. You know, it's pretty durable stuff, and it's available in a lot of different sizes. But Tygon is not the preferred line for this application. I've used lots of different line over many decades, and there are some products that do not use fuel tank wall grommets. The hole is just right in the fuel tank or right in the crankcase. There's no grommet, there's just a hole. And the line has to have the right properties in order for it to seal against the hole in the tank wall with no grommet. And Tygon is not the preferred line in that application. And the products that I'm talking about are the Poland, Weed Eater, Craftsman, some Husqvarna, and a lot of Home Light. And what this book describes in the service manual is, and keep in mind this manual is very old. It's dated March of '84. And it says a change has been made in the Model 25 fuel line, part number 21014, cut from bulk number 8120. The new tubing has a thicker wall, and the bulk number has been changed to 8133. And this has been done to prevent possible kinking of the line where it bends around sharp corners. And now I'm not even familiar with the original 8120 line. That's before my time. But the 8133 line, we have sold this for decades. And this line, along with the Home Light line, also has the same type of property. When you stretch this line, it shrinks, and then when you let go of it, it returns and expands. It has a memory. Tygon does not do that. Okay. Now, HomeLight line, HomeLight line is no longer available. HomeLight's way out of business. Okay, my camera ran out of battery right when I was in the middle of fuel line explanation. And HomeLight is another example of a product that does not use grommets in its fuel tank walls on its consumer low-end products. And the line is no longer available from HomeLight, so we have to get it from Rotary under this Rotary part number. And this bag is still sealed. I haven't opened it yet. But it has the same property where it's designed to have a memory, and when you stretch it, it shrinks in diameter, and then when you let go of it, it expands, and the outer diameter of the line seals very well against nothing more than a simple hole in the fuel tank. And so sometimes we use this on the Husqvarna 300 series saws when the spiral line deteriorates and those keep coming back. Their line's not that good. Sometimes we will use this. Now, I am going to have to take a few things off of this in order to get the line all the way from the carburetor into the fuel tank. And I've already removed what was left of the rotten air filter was in here, and there's some of the remnants of it. It just is nothing but dust. And that air filter is no longer available from Poland, or Husqvarna in this case, and so again I had to get a Rotary substitute, restock this part number in the Rotary parts to substitute for that Poland. And just sort of fits right down in there. Now, the gasket that goes around the airbox cover, on some of the models it was optional and it was not included in a lot of them. But this one's got it, and I'm going to have to figure out a good way of getting that fuel line down through this hole and that hole, and then it comes by the flywheel, and then it goes towards the tank, and then through the tank wall. And it's not going to be easy when the saw is fully assembled. This service manual covers fuel line replacement when the tank is off of the saw. And so this is going to be harder. And these screws that I'm removing, they are special screws. We used to sell a lot of these because the Super 25 really was a shaker, and the screws would rattle out of it. And they are an oval head grade 5 1024, and it's a special screw. This short one even comes with dry Loctite on it. We used to sell a lot of these. I'm going to have to take, I think I'm going to have to take the flywheel off to get more room, because the fuel line comes from underneath there and then comes through here and then goes to there. So, get this flywheel off. And if you have enough skill, you can do this without help. I've got the nut backed out, and the nut will be protecting the end of the crankshaft. And I got it. This is a special heat-treated Belleville washer. It's crowned on one side and dished on the opposite side, and the crowned side goes up against the flywheel nut. And now we've got some more room. Yep, that's going to make it easy. Oh, look, another piece of fuel line. And another piece of rotten air filter. There's pieces of rotten stuff coming out of here. Okay, so this line, you have to get it from Husqvarna now, since Husqvarna bought Poland. And the original Poland part numbers were 6 digits long, and that was the original number for the updated line. And this is the new Husqvarna number, so they added the 53,000 prefix in front of it, and it's 9 digits, not 6 digits. So that is the part number that you would want to order, and you can order it by the foot. You can order it, 10 foot, 3 foot, whatever you want. The smaller diameter of line is an 8148, and same thing, you would put the prefix on that, and it supersedes. It's no longer available by the foot. It is now replaced by a 530069247, which is a pre-cut 1 foot length. And so a lot of the Craftsman products use the smaller line. Now I'm gonna try to start from the carburetor end, and then I'm gonna work my way to the fuel tank and see how much success I have here. Okay, well, so far so good. Now this is going to be the tough part. Trying to get it to turn through this this other area. Okay, I got it. And then what I can do is I can push a little bit here and then pull. So I can go both directions. And the service manual describes cutting a 2 1/4 inch taper when the tank is fully assembled, and hopefully that will be long enough that you can reach in here and grab it. So I'm going to cut, I don't know if I'm going to go 2 1/4 inches, but I'm going to go pretty steep. hard time grabbing hold of it, so I think it's deeper. I got it. Okay, now it's in, and I like to use my favorite Nipex 9010185 tubing cutter. It'll cut tubing from 4 to 20 millimeters, and it cuts it very, very square because it's got a V block. And then we can cut this off. And so it shows that what you're able to pull out of the tank is 2 1/4 inches. And so maybe get pretty close by eyeballing, about 2.5. So I'm going to pull some of this back now. Okay, that's pretty good. And then this has got to be long enough to go around and connect to the carburetor. Right about there. And that's how you install a fuel line in a Super 25 DA or S25 CVA. I've got my teapot here, and what they recommend doing is, let's see, they recommend heating the end of the tubing with very hot water in order to force the fuel filter into the end of the hose. It's a very tight fit. This hose has got to be softened before it'll go on there. And so I'm going to fight with that off camera, and I'm going to put the saw together, the flywheel back on, and connect this line here off camera to make the video shorter, and then we're going to come back and discuss a few more things. Okay, I'm back after struggling with the fuel line. You can see my tea kettle is still steaming, and even with heating this line up in boiling water, it was still a fight to press this fuel filter onto the end of the hose. But I got it. And now before I put the flywheel back, I want to point out that there is a mark on the casting right there, and that is a keyway indicator, because you can't see the keyway from this side. You can only see the keyway from the opposite side. So that's how you line up your key. And the key is pointing at about 4 o'clock. Okay, there we go. And the Belleville washer goes with the cup down and the crown up. And we're not going to torque this. We're just going to be quick and dirty. Okay, and I'm going to bring you in for a close-up here. Okay, you can see my fuel line routing. And that's correct fuel line installation. Got my brand new air filter down in there. I've made sure that the choke is engaged. And put the starter back on. Okay, I'm not going to put the bar and chain on it. I'm going to fuel it, and we're going to move outside and see if it runs. Okay, I went to fuel it up, and the fuel cap, the air vent for the fuel cap is rotten, just like the fuel line and the air filter. So I am going to have to address that, because this has got a sealed tank and a vented cap, and it won't operate unless the tank vent is working. So luckily I have a new old stock fuel cap, and let's see what kind of condition it's in. And this is much, much better. That's like not rotten. That will work. So I'm going to shut the camera off, and we're going to move outside, and we're going to try to start it and see what happens. That's not going to go. back to life after 40, 50 years. Well, not 100% success. I think we have some very old, stiff, partially rotten diaphragms in the carburetor. But the smell of smoldering hot factory metal and paint after 45 years. So I'm going to pause, and we are going to get a fuel pump diaphragm and a metering diaphragm for the carburetor, because it will not run on its own. It will only run when I prime it and feed it fuel. So I'm going to go look up some parts. Okay, I'm back with 2 diaphragms that I want to use. I'm pre-soaking them in 2-cycle fuel. If you've seen any of my Carburetors 101 episodes, I advocate for always rebuilding wet. You can watch those videos and learn a lot about carburation. We're going to take the carburetor off and change those 2 diaphragms. And I'm taking note of the atmospheric vent hole. It is pointing down, which makes sense. If it was pointing up, it would just collect sawdust until that chamber was full. And that diaphragm's very stiff. Going to separate the diaphragm from the gasket. If it doesn't want to separate, I'm going to be getting a new gasket. And it doesn't want to separate. So I've got to go get a gasket. So I want to pause again, go back to the parts lookup. Okay, so I've got a new metering gasket because these 2 are permanently stuck together. They're not going to come apart. And I have pre-soaked my metering gasket along with my pre-soaked new metering diaphragm. Gasket goes on the carburetor body first. Atmospheric vent goes on pointing down. Diaphragm goes on top of the gasket. diaphragm is in poor shape too. And he's separated. So this is the opposite from the metering side. The fuel pump side, the diaphragm goes on the pump body first, and then the gasket. And last, the pump cover. Reconnect the throttle link. Check the choke for operation and final tighten by hand. Okay, now we are going to go back outside and we're going to see what happens. Okay, we're going to try another test run. And if it needs adjustments, on this model the air filter cover has to be removed and the adjustments made and then the cover put back. Pain in the ass, but that's the way this saw was. pretty darn good. I had to lean it a little bit, and now I'm satisfied. Okay, I almost forgot to put my hearing protectors on because these guys are really loud, and I'm satisfied. This is excellent repair on a vintage saw, serial number 3604727-1. Got to do some research on that and find the exact year, but I'm going to say it's the early 80s. And if you like vintage chainsaw repairs, check out my Skil 050 5-part episode where I restore, not fully restore, just repair and get running a vintage steel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and if you're going to look for this line on your own, Sears Parts Direct does have this smaller diameter, 1 foot length, 530-069247. Finding the 8133 or the Husqvarna number 53,08133 is a little bit tougher. Sometimes you can get it from Husqvarna, but you can also get it from Gardner Inc. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're searching on the internet, don't accept a substitute. A lot of Amazon will substitute some crappy line. So look for the real stuff. And I think you'll be very, very happy if you have a Craftsman blower, line trimmer, chainsaw, or a Poland product. And some of the low-end Husqvarna stuff that's made by Poland. So that's going to conclude today's episode. I don't know what the next one's going to be. We'll see. It's the Unknown Mechanic signing off.